Hi, everyone.
Hi, good morning, Sir Steve.
Hi, and
Morning, Steve.
I'm so
Hey,
excited. I'm
Steve.
so glad you could join us. Um, so first, I'd like for everyone to get familiar with our panelists, and so one by one, I'll ask our esteemed panelists to introduce themselves and also describe what their organization does, and then we'll go one by one through them. So let's first start with Ma'am Joyce.
Hi, Steve, and hi to everyone, to our esteemed panelists here. So again, my name is Joyce. I'm part of the talent acquisition team here at Emma Sleep. So Emma Sleep is actually more of a D2C brand. So we were actually enlisted in this panel for retail and manufacturing, but though I think I would also want to take the opportunity to introduce the brand as it is. We're actually part of the e-commerce sector. No? So we started out as an e-commerce business. And then as we grew the business also, we understood that, creating our own products in the area of sleep would actually be supporting the function of the business, which is really pushing out better quality of sleep to every household. And so we came up with our own manufacturing group to create our own products. So it's more of a tangent in between e-commerce and also manufacturing our products. So Emma Sleep has been here in the Philippines for a little over 2 years now. But we have started the business in Germany back in 2015. And currently, we're actually also very much expanding into different locations here in APAC. By the end of 2021, we're looking to close already by around 10 countries in APAC. So, yeah. If there would be some questions, also curious questions about Emma, I would really love to be able to answer any questions from everyone that's sitting into this event also.
All right. Thanks, Joyce. Let's go on to Sir JM from Amway.
Yes, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to my co-panelists and good morning to you, Steve. So I'm John Michael Federico. I'm from Amway Philippines. So to describe the company, Amway is a global company. It originated actually in the USA way back in 1959. So we are into direct selling company, into retail per se. So we are focusing on nutrition, cosmetics, personal care products, home care products. We are also into durables and agriculture products. So in the Philippines, we've been in the business for 25 years. We will be celebrating our 25th year next year, April to be exact. And Amway actually is a growing business in the Philippines. So if you're not familiar with direct selling industry, but if you're familiar with companies like Avon, Herbalife, Usana, so those are just uh, um, um, some of our competitors in the Philippines, also in the global arena. So I'm so excited to accommodate and answer all your questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's go on to Ma'am Javi. Is it Javi or JV?
Hi, Steve. It's Javi. You're correct.
Hi, Javi.
Yes. Thank you for introducing me, Steve. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name again is Javi, and I'm a part of the talent acquisition team of Gardenia Bakeries Philippines Inc. We are the leading bread brand in the Philippines. In 1997, Gardenia entered the Philippine market and established a factory in Laguna International Industrial Park, which is LIIP in Binyan, Laguna. Of course, we take pride in our world-class standard as part of our commitment to provide excellence in delivering quality breads that will satisfy every Filipino household. I'm excited again for the opportunity to share the company and the organization with everyone. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Javi. And last but not the least, Ma'am Bea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bea Hernandez from BF Industries. We are based in Mindanao and we manufacture activated carbon, charcoal briquettes, and granulated charcoal. So some of you might be wondering what activated carbon is. So it's basically used for water filtration, gold processing, food manufacturing, and even electronics. So we are proud to say that we play an important role in providing people with clean air and water. So for the charcoal briquettes, it's basically barbecue fuel, and we export this to European countries. So we have been in business for the last 49 years, and we're pretty excited to be celebrating our 50th year next year.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, congratulations, Miss Bea, to your company. And again, welcome to our panelists and welcome everyone who's just joined. We'll now go on to our panel discussion where we ask questions regarding working in this specific sector and what companies are looking for. All right. So for our panelists, our first question would be, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give to a student or even a graduate aspiring to work for an organization within this sector? Um, so let's start naman, pabalik naman. Let's start with Ma'am Bea. So Ma'am Bea, what is the most important piece of advice you can give to students aspiring to work for your organization or an organization in this sector?
Okay, so for an ever-changing environment, I think students who aspire to work for our organization or other organization should be agile and be open to changes in the environment. So changes may come in forms of changes in the workplace, work processes, tapos assignments or org structures. And then you should also be proactive and not reactive to changes. You should always be ready for any change that might be thrown your way. So yun lang po. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Bea. How about Javi? What is the most important piece of advice you can give to students aspiring to work here in the sector?
For piece of advice, I can give three top of mind. Would have to, of course, grow your skills and knowledge while you're still at school. Second would be to pursue your passion, not do what you love right after graduating or up until your retirement, right? Number three would be to actively seek opportunities. No, I'm gonna shamelessly plug our careers pages. Of course, actively seek opportunities. No, seek for careers opportunities in different organizations. We currently have our Facebook and LinkedIn careers page that you can check out, and our careers website as well to find endless opportunities for you.
Thanks, Ma'am Javi.
Thank you.
Let's go on to Sir JM. What advice would you give to a student aspiring to work in this sector?
Yes, it's actually a really good question, Steve. So for me, actually, for a fresh graduate, I can definitely put myself into the shoes of each and every fresh graduate or each and every student. So when I started actually to when I was just starting my career, so I always make sure that I do my research to any industry that I'll be entering, I'll be working in. And I think it's very important that we are very knowledgeable and familiar with the industry that we are aspiring to work in, to work for any company. So number one piece of advice is to do your research. You can maximize all platforms. We are into this digital world, and social media has been open to everyone. You can really search about the company, make sure that search on what the company does. Reviews about the company is very important. That's actually one of the pieces of advice that I could give. And be resilient. Be resilient and be determined, especially during this time of the pandemic. It's very challenging to find a job, to land into something that you want to work. Something that you think that you could really contribute or unleash your full potential. So it's very important that you are determined and resilient, especially in this time. And in the industry like manufacturing and retail, customer is always, we put customer in everything that we do. It's the blood of the business. So treat everyone like your customer. And the character will be you will be able to develop a character of service. I mean, servicing people, and that's actually very important in the industry like us in retail. that you have that kind of mindset.
Wow.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
JM. Good piece of advice. How about Ma'am Joyce? What advice would you give to a student aspiring to work in your company or an organization within this sector?
Yeah, so I think there were very good things already that were mentioned by the other panelists. Like, for example, agility is definitely one of the key
Mhm.
things that we always try to emulate within the organization or other organizations that you may be part of. Resilience, research, and also building your knowledge. But at the same time, I think one of the key things that we really value whenever
Mhm.
we're working with new talents, though they may be graduates or interns, would really be the fresh ideas that they bring in. So staying curious, being creative, thinking of new ways of approaching different things is always bringing so much impact. So, for example, in the topic of sleep for us, there are so many different things that we thought were not applicable to the topic of sleep that were brought about just because of thinking of new ways of looking at sleep. So I think it's the creativity and curiosity that we can also add to the different things that were mentioned already.
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for those great piece of advice. So to highlight uh, common things that were mentioned, being proactive, learning, researching, being creative, and resilience. So for everyone listening, I hope you were able to take note of that so that you, if you're aspiring to work in this sector, you will have what it takes. All right. Next question. So we've mentioned the pieces of advice. Now, if a student is applying, what is your organization for in a certain applicant? So if, for example, they submit to you their resume, what are the things that are important for your organization and what do students need to show in order to progress to the next round? So we'll first start with Sir JM. What is your organization looking for in an applicant?
So you know what, Steve? The company is not really picky and
Hmm.
in choosing any candidates in the market, especially fresh graduate. We do not really discriminate if you have experience or not. So I think the company is we want to develop homegrown talents. We are into that.
Hmm.
And we've been accepting interns for the past few years already, except last year where the when the pandemic began, right? So we would want to really develop talents, especially if you're a fresh graduate. We do not really we are not choosy into that. And also we want an applicant who has a good character because things can be learned. Things can be learned in the organization. Whatever you've learned in when you were in college, you cannot bring everything into the organization. But the character you have, you can bring that in to the company that you'll be working for. This is actually very important for us to assess someone who would want to join in our company in the organization, who can be flexible, who can be patient, because we are into retail again. We are like a service company. So patience is very, very important. And there should be willingness. There should be willingness to learn, to explore, and to share his or her knowledge.
Thank you for that, Sir JM. So just to follow up on what you said, you've mentioned character and some of these things. These things are sometimes hard to show on your CVs. So, for example, when an applicant passes their CVs, how do they show them in their CVs that they have good character? Or is it something that you find out through the interview process or the application process?
That's a good follow-up question, Steve. So in our interview, we usually ask situational questions. We make sure that we are able to identify star. I think most of the students are not familiar yet what star means, but in HR, I have here my HR colleagues, from talent acquisition. So star is really identify some specific. We ask questions on some specific situations where they can when they are asked what to do, when they can demonstrate certain actions and the results that they have achieved on the situations that the applicant has given to us. So we sometimes ask questions on some of the activities that they have joined in when they were in college,
Mhm.
how they were be able to work with their classmates when they were doing their thesis, things like that. And you can ask probing questions, and naturally the student would share something that you wouldn't even expect. So that's actually one of the ways we could determine the character of the student, of a fresh graduate, and we can assess there. From there, we can assess if the student is fit into our culture and can really work for the organization.
Wow. Great answer. I hope everyone was able to hear that and note of that. How about let's move on to Miss Javi. What is your organization looking for in an applicant, and how can students show this?
Yes, I agree. I very much agree with Sir JM, everything that he says. um, Technically, for the STAR interview, um, I hope that everyone took that down, as well as the company is also not closing its doors. Of course, very much open to fresh graduates, as Sir JM says. But I think for me, there are two pointers that I can also give out to the students here today. Of course, creating a resume would have to be um one. So if you have to create a resume, you have to at least create a list of your skills, include it there, knowledge, experiences when it comes to, of course, like what Sir JM says, your joint organizations or any OJT experiences that you've acquired, as well as it has to be required for the position that matches what you're actually applying for, right? And after you created that list, you have to identify your strongest, your strengths.
Mhm.
Keywords is a way to go when it comes to doing a resume. Right now, we have an ATS compliant resume. It's a way of creating a resume that you can easily parse through an applicant tracking system that we are currently using. I'm not sure if other organizations here are using it as well, but again, a way for you to create this a resume is an ATS compliant as well. For the interview, I would have to say that, of course, number one is to research the company that you are going to be interviewed on, and of course, practice your answers. Common interview questions that you can search online. Everything is there, as well as study the job description if it's given to you, and always come prepared for the interview and plan it right before. Of course, if you can plan your attire the night before, that
Mhm.
will be as well um, delighted. But most especially, of course, be confident in answering every questions in the interview as well.
All
That's
right.
all, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank.
Let's go on to Miss Bea. What is your organization looking for in an application, and how do students show this?
Okay, so I think we are looking for applicants with educational fit, culture fit, and as what Sir JM said, a good attitude. So be yourself and tell us what you have been up to. Don't try to be something you're not. If you have experiences outside school that you think will help us in the selection process, so please don't hesitate to mention it. And then experiences on leadership or exposure to a manufacturing company when you had a summer job, you can also mention that. And then sometimes the application form or resume does not capture the value of an applicant. So I think that's it.
Thanks, Miss Bea. And we go on now to Miss Joyce.
Yeah. So for us, it's the same, no? So we really want to find interns or talents that would actually fit basically the cultural DNA also of Emma. And if we're actually applying it to fresh graduates or interns, we could put it in a nutshell in terms of learn and grow mindset and also entrepreneurship. So one of the ways that we would actually be able to identify that in profiles basically would be seeing the profiles of candidates who have really pursued their own growth beyond their educational or academic pursuits. So, for example, for candidates who have pursued, internships that are really meaningful to them. At the same time, other external pursuits that could actually help them not only hone their skills or knowledge in the area that they're actually participating in, but also character. Like, for example, if these people are into sports, that they would be able to like build on their character in terms of teamwork, collaboration, decision making skills, or even stepping up to the trials if there are. So we try to look into this different nuances in the profiles that would really describe the character behind the profile that we're actually or the paper that we're reading. So it's learn and grow. We like to see profiles of people who may have already entered internships in their sophomore years and really continued on with that. We can see that there's a passion for them to really drive their own growth, and we know that that's something that they would also be intent in bringing to our organization. I think one also thing that I would like to highlight, no, with the organization, Emma is only like 7 years old right now, 7 to 8 years old. But we've been able to grow to more than 32 countries already. And in some of these countries, interns, people who have entered the organization as interns, were already able to launch countries within 2 years of being part of the organization. So we really make sure that they bring their best, and we try to give them all the empowerment that we could provide for them to expand in whatever area that they would like to pursue the organization. So yeah, we love interns. We really love great interns at Emma.
Thanks, Joyce. And thank you, everyone. Those were great answers. So, a couple of highlights: showing your character, learn and grow, research, culture fit. So, research about the company, about their culture, if you can fit well with their culture. A great tool would be visiting Prospel Philippines, where you can see what the organization is like, what the culture is like. All right. Next, for those applicants naman who have passed the interview and they were hired, what advice would you give them to help them survive and thrive, not just survive, but thrive in their first year? So again, what advice would you give successful applicants to survive and thrive on their first year? Let's start with Mambea.
Okay. I think you should always be open to new experiences and learnings. And you should be cooperative to everyone, your superiors and your colleagues. That's all.
All right. Thanks, Mambea. Let's go on to Sir JM.
Yeah, so for me, it's very important. For example, when I entered one of the biggest companies in the Philippines, you know, I I knew nothing about about the culture, about the people, and so on. So of course I came from college, I was so playful that time, and I learned about that company. I learned a lot but from that company in terms on how I should work with um, with each and every employee in that company, on how I should work with different ranks, and then how I should accomplish on something. So I think it's very important when when a fresh graduate enters to a company, or if they are able to land into the company that they are aspiring for, it's very important to learn about the culture, about the people, how they work with one another, how they achieve team goals, how they take actions on certain things, how they achieve their objectives, things like that. So it's very important to learn about the culture and about the people, because the culture and these people who have been with the company for so long will not adjust for you. You should be the one to adjust. And as a fresh graduate, I think it's okay to be curious. Sorry. I think it's really okay to be curious and to always ask questions. Sometimes, diba, we feel that oh, I might look stupid if I ask questions, things like that. I might look chismoso or chismosa if I'm curious about certain things. So always ask questions, because by asking questions, you learn. You learn new things, just like what Miss Bea mentioned a while ago. You learn new things, and it's very important for you because you're a fresh graduate. So I always appreciate people who ask questions. I always tell my staff, kahit na busy ako, even my room is closed, disturb me, ask questions, because I don't want you to fail. We don't want people to fail. But failure is not a bad thing at all, because from failure you can also learn new things. So it's okay, and always be game. I always tell this to our staff, especially to new ones, that always be game to anything in the organization, especially in Amway Philippines. 60% of our population is actually young. We have a lot of young people, and everyone is so competitive. Of course, it's a friendly competition, or healthy competition rather, and you always have to be game on anything.
Hmm.
So that's it.
Thanks, JM. Next, we'll go on to Miss Joyce. What advice would you give to successful applicants to survive and thrive on their first year?
I think I would highlight the same things as JM. It's really asking. So be open to ask. It's okay to ask anyone within the organization. And at the same time, I think do not water down the impact that you can actually make, even though you're just a fresh graduate or intern. See yourself as someone who's actually an important piece in the organization. That way, the questions and the actions that follow your thought process actually goes for the impact that you would actually want to bring to the organization. So see yourself as someone that could actually make the same level of contribution as anyone that you're actually sitting side by side with.
Wow, thank you. And then last but not the least, Miss Javi, what advice would you give?
My advice would have to be I agree with everyone that says, of course, to continue uh, to not be afraid and asking questions and not be afraid of failure, but of course also to be the real you. No, you have to also be authentic to yourself.
Mhm.
For you to give out your best in your work, you have to be the real you. And of course, does the learning stop when you graduated? No. Of course, for me, continuous learning is a must, um, especially for first time for fresh graduates. And of course, you have to work hard and show up on time. Don't, of course, be punctual as always. Get to know your team better. Like what Sir GM says, they're already there for for quite some time, and then you enter the organization fresh from the bat. So you have to make sure that you initiate having conversations to get to know your team better. And of course, lastly, respect the culture, company's culture, organizational culture. For us, it's of course find time for to know, dig deep in the company's mission, vision, and of course the core values. That's that would help you, of course, with your own job descriptions, right? For us, we have, of course, our core values. We have customer-driven, innovation, teamwork, professionalism, integrity, and stewardship. Excellence as well. Thank you, Sir Steve.
Thanks, Javi. Thank you all for those answers. I'd like to acknowledge si Diana from Amway. Later on, she'll have a short talk and answer some questions about working in Amway. So hold on for that, for her 15-minute talk. So for now, Miss Diana, sit back and enjoy. And later on, we'll call you in for your spotlight speaking time. Okay. Thank you all again for all those your answers. Couple of highlights. Ask questions. Ask questions from your team leader, from your teammates. Learn the culture. Of course, for you to thrive, there should be culture fit. So get to know the culture deeply, ask questions, and be open to learning more experiences, new skills. And again, I can never stress this enough. Ask questions. All right. We have more time, so let's ask more questions here on the list. So, how is your company coping with the current situation with, pandemic, the lockdowns? It's getting better, but how is your company coping and making sure that your employees are well taken care of? So again, how is your company coping with the current situation, the pandemic and lockdowns? And how are you making sure that your employees are well taken care of? Let's start with Miss Joyce.
Okay, so for this, definitely there are a lot of programs that are being sponsored by the organization now to make sure that engagement across different teams, not only within teams, are actually supported. So definitely our employment and engagement team would host a lot of different events, fun events that would inspire collaboration or fun times, even without talking about work. No? So may mga periodic programs for those things. And at the same time, we make sure also that we're able to provide support or professional support. For example, we're working with professional medical people that would actually be able to provide safe space for our employees to like just really air out if they have things that they would like to discuss. Maybe it's about their work, maybe it's about personal topics also. So we want to make sure that they also have people that they can tap if they feel comfortable talking about it. Maybe hindi sila comfortable talking about it with a peer within the organization, right? And they would like need a professional person to do that for them. We also open those kinds of programs that would have an open space for them. And then we're very, very particular about making sure that even though in the first few months or the last year that we were not able to be in the office, onboarding might have actually been a little bit trickier because you don't always have a person side by side with you that you can ask. So we created this group within the organization that made sure that they are actually the most experienced when it comes to like really sharing about our cultures and value, who would actually be able to like side by side walk the new onboarded team members of the organization to help them get integrated into the organization, even if we're not seeing each other face to face.
Thank you for that answer. Let's go on to Ma'am Bea.
Okay, so for the topic of pandemic, we continue to follow IATF and DOLE mandates, and we practice flexible work arrangements like work from home and staggered schedules. We also have employee assistance programs like the COVID hospitalization benefit. And we have not removed any employee since the pandemic started and continue to support our employees pre-pandemic. Then we also continue to hold events like birthdays, mental health programs. So in other words, tuloy ang buhay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. How about Miss Javi?
I agree with Ms. Bea, Sir Steve, tuloy ang buhay, no? Of course, in our company, Gardenia also implemented safety protocols and social distancing for those who are required to report an office or the plant-based. Um, but we also have a skeletal or dynamic workforce, of course, and our COVID-19 vaccination program that's not also free for all the employees, and vitamins as well that would help them boost their immunity systems, and of course continue for the virtual engagement and activities. Interviews are also virtual right now, and onboarding as they said. So but of course mental health is also and well-being of our employees are one of the important factors right now during this pandemic.
All right. Thanks, Javi. How about let's go on to JM.
Yeah, I will just echo what they have mentioned, similar to what we do also for Amway. But I think what important as well for us to do, especially during this time, is to make sure that we ask our employees every now and then how they are.
Mhm.
What are the basic needs of our employees? I think the good thing about what we've done since the beginning of the pandemic is that we keep on asking our employees through surveys, through team meetings, through departmental meetings, what what their concerns are. How can we help them on their concerns, on the issues that they, or on the challenges that they are, that they are going through when the pandemic when it began last year. So from there, we're able to think of ways on how we will be able to help our employees beyond to what we could give to our employees, aside from mental health, employee assistance program, employee care packages, employee, flexible working arrangement. What are the things they need to ensure that the the men the healthy mind continues while they are working from home, right? Because it's very challenging to really work from home. You cannot set barrier between work and life. It's very
Mhm.
challenging, and of course not everyone has the same tools when you are working from home. Not everyone has a working desktop, I mean a working table, a working chair. So aside from those things, where we provide our employees like a work from home subsidy to ensure that they can buy things that they need when they are working from home. They can buy things needed for their families, because there's a increase in electricity, there's an increase in using internet, something like that. So I think from having those conversations with our employees, from the surveys that we have conducted, we're able to implement things beyond what we could implement to our employees.
All right. Thanks, JM. It's good to know that a number of companies and all of our the organizations represented here really have programs in order to ensure good mental health, and everyone is taken care of in their companies. A couple of questions from our chat. Let's try to answer this. Um, do you have internship programs for graduating students in your company? So briefly, let's just go through. Um, let's go to Ma'am Javi. Do you have internship opportunities for graduating students currently?
As of the moment, Sir Steve, we are currently open for fresh graduates, but we do have internship opportunities last year. As of the moment, I think when the pandemic hit, it is actually one of the project that we'll be pursuing for the coming years. But for now, our doors are open for fresh graduates.
All right, thank you. How about Ambea?
We do have internship programs for students in the chemistry field. So that's the only internship program we have.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir JM?
Yes, we do have internship program for students. We just temporarily stopped to get interns last year, but we can now accept interns.
Thank you, Sir JM. And Ma'am Joyce?
Yes, we have internships open for students in the accounting field at the same time for business development.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So we are about to wrap up our panel discussion. Later on, we'll have some speakers, and you can definitely ask more of your questions there. Um, but for the final question, at least in this panel session, in one sentence or in a couple of sentences, the question is, why should students apply to your organization? Why should students apply to your organization? So let's start with Mambea. Mambea, why should students apply to your organization?
Okay, in one sentence, if you want to see yourself develop, we would be glad to see your resume in our inbox. So our organization is big on continuous improvement, and we have systems to monitor changes and improvements within the organization. Thank you.
Let's go on to Sir JM.
I think if you are into challenges, then I think this is one of the best companies to work for. And not to oversell Amway Philippines, but we've been certified as a top employer since 2017, and just recently we've been awarded as one of the best places to work for as well because of the programs that we have in the organization for leadership, for talent development, for succession planning, for employee engagement and employee experiences. So those are the things that we could really offer to our to the applicants, especially to the students. If you are into challenges, then Amway is one of the best places to work for.
All right. Thank you, sir. Miss Joyce, why should students apply to your organization?
I think it's best suited really for people who would like to pursue entrepreneurship. So apart from developing your skills and having programs to help you progress in your career, it's having that mindset of being an entrepreneur and how to really translate that in the area of your work that we're able to really support within the organization. So for those who have that entrepreneurial drive or would really want to hone their entrepreneurial skills, Emma would be a good place for you.
Thanks, Miss Joyce. And last but not the least, Javi.
Of course, at Gardenia, we support employees' growth and professional development like other organizations, but we are also committed to delight customers in providing the best quality bakery, food, and beverage products for our consumers. So our employees all take pride in their work by being a part of this company. And of course, as mentioned a while ago, we are here since 1997. So please do be a part of our growing company.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to our panelists here. I hope everyone was able to get a lot out of it about the insider tips, what employers are looking for. And again, I encourage everyone here to visit Prospel Philippines and check out all the companies, all the organizations represented here for their company overview, what the recruitment process is like, where the opportunities are located, and you can also apply for opportunities at Prospel Philippines. And so thank you to our esteemed panelists for joining us and for answering all of our burning questions and giving us insider tips about working in the retail and manufacturing sector.